Okay. All righty. Welcome to our team call, you guys. I just got back from Mexico and I literally got back last night. And like this morning, I was like, what do we need to talk about today? So, not super prepped, but I took videos of Phil Jones, like long videos, so I could listen back to his sales training in one of the meetings at Emerald Extravaganza. Cause I was like, I got to share this with my team. It's so good. I just loved his mindset about it. And one of the books that he wrote, I've talked to you guys about this book before. You're going to recognize it. It's called Exactly What to Say. Have I not talked about that on the team calls? I have. Well, I didn't know he had two other books. I'm literally going to buy them today on Amazon and I'm going to read over them because he is brilliant. And I love that he makes sales feel so natural, which I feel like is the goal, correct? Like to make it fun and like something that doesn't burn you out. So I'm going to share about the notes and I might have to read off of them a little bit so I don't get distracted, but you know, I get distracted. I totally get squirrel brain. Like I was listening to Mel Robbins talk and she was talking about like, if you have this, this, and this, then you have like a form of ADD or something. And I was like, undiagnosed over here. Squirrel brain. I'm like, if I can do this business, anyone can. Okay. So, Emerald Extravaganza. First of all, I'll have to say that years ago when I started earning my first trip, I think my first big trip that I earned outside of like a little retreat that we did, like, you know, like the retreats that we do on our team. I had gone to one that Brooke, Emily, and Christy had put on, and that was the very first retreat I went to. But the first Plexus trip that I earned was Leaders Retreat. And I remember going on the trip and I don't even think I hardly posted anything that would allude to the fact that I was on like a Plexus trip. Like I was so like, that's salesy. I can't do that. Like I can't talk about, I was so ashamed and embarrassed that people would think that I was only selling products so I could earn a trip and that it was all about me. And I like literally felt gross about it. And so I barely posted about any of those trips. I don't feel that way anymore. Like I literally am like, I'm going to show all y'all how amazing Plexus is so that you want to be on this trip with me. And so I talk about it now. And I don't know if you've noticed, I even talked about MLMs lately. I'm like I'm like, yeah, I do an MLM. Have I lost some followers? Sure. Have I gained other ones? Sure. Yeah, I have. Like my followers will go like this, you know, it's like maybe 5 people saw an MLM and they were like, ew, gross, and they unfollowed me. But then 5 people that are totally cool with MLMs were like, oh, cool, she's open and honest. I'm going to follow her. So I've just been more myself. And I definitely feel that people are starting to open up and be more like real with me back. Right. So at the gym today, I had like 3 friends come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, your trip looks like so much fun. Like, I'm so jealous. Like, it looked incredible. And one of them was an influencer that shouted me out like a month and a half ago that shouted me out and got 0 signups. And she was like, I'm like so jealous. That looked dreamy. It was amazing. And I was like, well, you could earn Punta Cana with 20 orders. Like, I just told her like straight out. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, pretty easy, right? She's like, I could do that. So I know that I'm planting seeds, whether she does it or not. I'm getting a little bit more, I don't even want to say bold, but more myself. Like instead of holding back and thinking, I couldn't say that, they might judge me. I'm like, you know what? She brought up that it looked dreamy and she wished she was there. So I'm going to like allude to the fact that she can be there. So definitely been a little bit more confident in my skin when it comes to network marketing and what we have to offer. But I do have to say, being on the trip, like it really is so surreal how good they treat us on the trips. Like I don't say this to boast or brag, but I say this because I never, ever would have been at that nice of a resort if it wasn't for Plexus. Being treated the way that I do with nightly drops of like gifts that they're giving me and the parties and like the Mayan dancers that I haven't even posted about yet. Like it's incredible. Like it is an experience that I never would have had without Plexus. And it's different. Like I love going on family vacation with my family to California. Love it. One of my favorite things we do all year. But the experience that you get at these trips with your sweetheart, which I didn't take a sweetheart this time, but it really is so special. And I had multiple women there, whether they were diamond, sapphire, emerald, come up to me and talk to me about how incredible this trip was for their relationship with their spouse. They're like, me and my husband needed this so bad. Like, and that sits with my heart because, before Plexus, me and my husband just really didn't travel much together at all. And it makes me so happy to see couples bonding and dating and, like having that deep connection with each other. So, absolutely incredible trip. I would tell everybody, like, it's worth it. Every single bit of work that I have put in to earn these trips over the years, it has been worth it. Like, I love the trips. And if you're like thinking, yeah, but I've been doing this for years and I've never earned it and I probably just never will. It's not true. It is not true. So that will lead me into the next part about, most of us, okay, this is a little bit about what Phil went over. So would you rather be good, better, or best at what you do? Drop it in the comments or unmute yourself. Like, would you rather, like, if you could pick anything, what would you want to be? Like, I feel like for me, I have always been like, I want to be the best. I want to be the best, right? Yeah, best. Steph says best. Amanda says best. It's like, well, if I were the best, then I could do it. Or how many times do you guys say, like, I'm trying my best, right? Well, he said something to me that really struck me. And he said, saying that you're trying your best creates a limiting belief. Because if we go, I'm trying my best and I'm not there yet, then my best isn't good enough and I'm never going to get there. I did my best. I tried my best. I tried everything. It's not working for me. And so what he says is, stop saying that you're trying your best or stop trying to do your best. And he used the example of tying his shoe when he was little. And I related to this so much, you guys, because I struggled to tie my shoe. Did any of you guys struggle? Or were you guys like that kid, like Enzo, my son Enzo just got it like that. He was motivated by earning a little bell that he could tie on his shoelace at school. And when he'd walk, it would jingle and all of the kindergartners would know the kids that knew how to tie their shoe. And he had to do it in a certain amount of time. And so he picked it up so quick, but it took me so long to figure out how to tie my shoe. And he talked about how he was trying and he was frustrated trying to tie his shoe. And his dad was like trying to encourage him that he could do it. And he was saying, Dad, I'm trying my best. I just can't do it. Like my best isn't good enough. And that is something I feel like I have said over the years about my business. Like, well, I'm trying my best and I'm still not there yet. So I guess my best isn't good enough. But he said that better is always beats best. Okay. Because your best means that you've done everything, but better means that there's room to grow. Okay. Better means I'm going to learn and then I'm going to get better. And then I'm going to learn and then I'm going to get better. Right? Like how many of you guys, something that you used to be super hard for you, something that you felt like you'd never be good at. Maybe it was riding a bike when you were little, or maybe it was, logging into your back office and whatever it was. What is something that you used to be really bad at that now you're a rock star at, or that's really easy for you? Drop it in the comment. Can you guys think of something? Does something come to mind? Something that you're now good at. I feel like I can think of so many things, right? Like the things, sharing my story live. Perfect. I remember, sorry, what was it? I remembered going live for the first time. And I remember being like, yeah, I pretty much sucked at that. And now I can go live and I'm so much better, right? Is there anything else that comes to mind? Something, believing in myself. Yeah. Like that is something that grows over time the more that we take action, right? Leo, are you okay? Okay. Okay. So when it comes to sales people, I want you guys to list the words that explain a stereotypical salesperson. What are words when you think of sales? What is a stereotypical salesperson? And throw out whatever word you can think of. Pushy, cringy. Any more? I think like self-centered, right? They're out to get something for themselves. What else? Like, I think sometimes like the word uncomfortable, like I get a little uncomfortable because I feel like they're maybe pushing me. Scammy, right? Like, so we have these ideas in our head of a stereotypical salesperson. And I really believe this is why so many people don't want to do sales. How many of you, when you were a little girl, said, I want to grow up and do sales? Right? Not me. I don't know anyone that said, I'm going to grow up and do network marketing. Unless maybe their parents did it and they did it well and they admired them. Like, I just shared a story by a guy that is sapphire and both of his parents are diamond. And he, you know, like, I can see why he would want to do it. He said, my parents are literally the best coaches. Like, I love it. Right. But none of us grew up wanting to do sales because we all grew up with this negative connotation that sales is kind of slimy and gross. And it's for them to gain and for us to lose. Right. Okay. So if we switch it from stereotypical sales to someone that's a professional salesperson, think about a professional salesperson. What words come to mind when you think about them? Does it change in your head? Do you think of it differently? Hardworking, okay, social, knowledgeable. I actually feel like people that I've bought from that are like professional salespeople, I feel like the process is actually really like smooth and like they care about me. Or like they want me to get what I want out of it. Like they're serving me. I think of like a servant heart of like, oh, they really wanted me to benefit from this.
Nicole, can I pop in and say something really fast? Something that's interesting as you're talking is I was thinking about I have an uncle, two uncles, and a cousin, cousin's wife, a bunch of people who are pharmaceutical reps. And that was what you said was professional sales people. That's who came to mind. You know, that's why I was like, oh, they're knowledgeable and they're this and they're that. But it's interesting because I'm like, that's what we are, right? We're Plexus ambassadors. We share and we educate and you know, I think my uncle and my cousins and stuff like that are awesome and they work hard and they're, you know, super strong business people. And so relating it to our business, and I think I want to be the one that when people think about me and my business, that comes to mind of knowledgeable, confident, outgoing, you know, because I portray that and, you know, we're professionals just like that. So that came to mind. I love that.
Yeah. Amanda says, my thoughts exactly. Why can't we be considered professional salesperson? So I love this. So one thing that I want to point out is that I changed one word and then you guys changed all the words. I changed from stereotypical to a professional salesperson and the words changed, the narrative changed. So I would say one of the number one things that I hear from people, I just heard it from my girl that went with me to Mexico that's thinking about doing the business. She said, I'm just not a good salesperson. Now that's interesting because she has sold me on a lot of things since I've been with her. She was telling me all about how she sold the owners of the company that she works for, because she works for Dirty Dough. She's like their head cookie cook, whatever, recipe person. She sold them on using her. And she's told me the story twice. And I'm like, you sound like a pretty good salesperson to me. but she doesn't, she's like, but I'm not a good salesperson. I'm like, yes, you are. So, being a salesperson isn't a bad thing, right? It's the perception of what a salesperson is that can be negative or positive. And Phil talked about a 3-year-old. I thought this was really, really interesting. I've kind of used this example before, but he said, what does a 3-year-old do when they want something? Oh, wait, I botched it. He says, are salespeople born or made? And I was recording it and I instantly said, oh, they're made. Cause I was like, oh, I wasn't a good salesperson, right? Like I've had to be made over time. I've had to learn and develop myself over time. And so I want to ask you guys, do you feel like a salesperson is born or made? Do you kind of feel like the people that are really good, like they're made? I do. Carly says either. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I instantly was like, oh, that's easy. They're made. Well, he says, what does a 3-year-old do when they want something? What do they do? When your 3-year-old comes to you and they want ice cream or they want to go to the park or they want a friend over or whatever, what do?
They try and convince you of why they should go to the park or why they should have ice cream or
Yes.
why it makes sense for them.
Amanda says they ask and ask and ask. Yeah. They're like, can I do this? You're like, not right now. Will you take me to the park? No, not right now. Why won't you take me to the park? I want to go to the park. Not right now. Like they will literally like ask and then they will convince until they get what they want. Correct? So, I thought that was interesting. Like if he says, if you don't ask, you fill in the blank. If you never ask, you never receive. You never get what you want. And so he was talking about how we're actually all born salespeople because we grow up asking for what we want and trying to get what we want until we get it. And so, like my kids, like if they want something, like I know sometimes when they, you know, my son's in the other room right now, he has said mom 20 times and he is not going to stop until I pause this and I go and talk to him. Like they are not afraid to ask for what they want. And at some point in our life, we stop asking for what we want. Why? Why do we stop asking for what we want? My answer was because I stopped believing I was going to get it. That was my answer. Maybe your answer is different. He said, what stops you from asking for what you want? He said, it's always 3 things. Like, I think he's done a study about this. He's like, it's always 3 things. Number 1, it's fear. Number 2, it's rejection. Number 3 is fear of rejection. So those are the 3 things. Okay. I'm going to pause for 1 second so he's not yelling at me. Hold on.
I'm going to jump in while she's gone. It's so fun to hear her notes and know that there's just so much good learning when they go on these retreats and how amazing they are. And I think it's cool. I think last week too, we related a lot of our business to being a mom or having kids or, you know, what little kids are like. And that's just a really cool analogy or thought process because of how, yeah, we're all born like that, right? We're all trying to convince people we all want certain things our way, even as adults. You know, I'm here with my kids at the park and I wanted to come here so I could sit, right? And not have to like entertain them at home or cook for them or clean or whatever. So I'm like, I was convincing these kids myself of like, hey, let's go to this fun park. It'll be great. And so that's interesting because, you know, I think we are all born as that way, but then we can make ourselves better. Like you were saying, Nicole, like being better is good because then you're room to improve. So I just jumped in, Nicole, really fast. Sorry.
Oh, can I chime in too? I was explaining because so my boys don't really know what I do with Plexus because I have another job too. Like I work my nursing job, and I was describing kind of, this was a couple months ago, the whole sales aspect of it and why I was going to go live. So I think I was explaining I was going live on something, so they needed to be quiet. So I was explaining all this, like how it works to my 11-year-old. And then he got talking about the Jazz, obviously related back to sports, and how the Jazz wouldn't be a team if they didn't sell their tickets, if they didn't have, you know, And so his little brain was like, so basically every company out there, whether they're considered an MLM or not, relies on sales, right? Every single company, I don't care what it is, from software to cookie dough to whatever, relies on the sale of whatever that product is. And so it really was like, yes, you're right. Like, I know that, but just every company at some point, like, is it a pyramid scheme, right? It's a pyramid. Every company is a pyramid. And it just was like, why do we get such a bad rap of like the pyramid scheme? And literally everyone has to sell. And like you were saying, like, sell her on cookie dough or sell her on supplements. Why does one have to be more okay than the other? And I was like, got really annoyed with that. And like, we need to change that verbiage. We need to change that thought process, because everyone has to have sales. And why we couldn't be considered professional salesmen versus someone selling the software, like, we're selling the same thing. You are not any more professional than I am. Why? And I'm gonna stereotype men. Why do men that sell, they're considered professionals, and why women that do are considered stay-at-home moms that like just are tampering? Like, no, it's ticking me off. Anyway,
I agree. I agree with that. But I think that it's just the persona, and it is also the way that we do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I did the vision casting call where I talked about selling people's dreams back to them, like the week before Mexico. If it's all about you and you getting the sale and you're pushy, people are going to feel like you are a typical salesperson just trying to make money on them. But if you are listening, you care about them and you help them get what they want, they're going to be like, gosh, dang it, Amanda is so professional and she's helped me. She's going to have gratitude for what you've done for her. And that sales narrative is going to switch in her mind. And she's going to go, maybe I could do that too, because Amanda cared about me. We got to stop making it about us. You guys, I love earning the trips, the prizes, all the things, but we've got to stop making it about us, because it really is so much more than that. When we help people get what they want, we get what we want. I really believe that. So thank you for sharing that. Why my little guy, like, he needed me. So you guys, thank you. You're amazing. Okay. So he said fear of rejection. Okay. And then he said something interesting. He said, who's been rejected by somebody they love in the last 7 days? And he was a lot funnier than I am. Like, he was like something about asking his wife to go get like Asian food, like noodles and broccoli and beef and stuff or something. And she said, no, I don't want to get that, or he said, or maybe you wanted to like have a sexy night and your partner said not tonight. Like, and it was like, everyone laughed. And I was like, I wish I was funnier like that. But like, think about it. Like, if like your spouse was like, no, I don't want to go get that food. Let's do that another night. Or, hey, I'm really tired tonight. Let's spend time together another night. Like, you get rejected all the time in your personal life by people, right? What's the difference then being rejected in your personal life versus being rejected in your professional life? Because more often or not in your personal life, it wasn't that big of a deal. You're like, whatever. He's not in a good mood. He wasn't up for it. Right. The difference is that, they weren't saying no to you. Right. Your husband wasn't saying no to you. They were just saying, no, not right now. So I want to ask you guys, how many of you have spent money on something in the last 6 months that you would have never spent money on or bought 6 months ago? What's something? I already said it on the call, you guys. I got Botox. I said for years, I'm never going to get Botox. I'll never do it. And if you were late to the call, I was like, they settled weird. I'm trying to get them to adjust. Like, I'm still getting used to it. But how many of you have bought something that you're like, no, don't have it in the budget. Nope. I'll never buy that. Nope. Can't afford it. Yeah. Carly's like me. I think we all are like that. Right? So, why did you buy it now when you wouldn't have bought it 6 months ago or a year ago? Why? Your circumstance changed. Okay. And he said, other people's circumstances are changing all of the time. So someone that says, hell no today could say, pretty please tomorrow. People's circumstances are changing all the time, and you need to be front of mind when the circumstance changes. And I've even done this in some of my sales trainings in Limitless Leaders group on Facebook, where I say to people, if 6 months from now things change, I want to be the first person you call. I tell people that. 6 months from now, if something changes, whether it's about the business or the products, I want to be the first person that comes to your mind. How do we stay the first person that comes to mind? Definitely not go radio silent on social media because no one's ordering. People are going to be like, she wasn't very committed. She's not doing that anymore. I can't trust her. Right? Yeah. Consistency. Amanda says consistency. Like, we have got to stay top of mind with consistency and with passion. And people, they may tell you no, and they may just be watching you to see how committed you are, because nobody wants to be part of your test experience. Like, I don't know, I guess I'll just see if this thing works, see if the business works. They don't want to be part of your test experience. They want to join somebody that is committed, someone that they would want to lead. Ask yourself this, write it down and ask yourself this. Check in with yourself, I don't know, weekly, monthly. Am I the leader that I would follow? Am I the type of leader that I would follow? Are you the type of leader that people know that they can come to you and rely on you for the answers, that they can count on you to be consistent and show up, that you will be top of mind when they have a question or when they're ready to order or when they're ready to do the business? Are you the type of person that you would follow? And if the answer is no, that's a pretty good indication of why people aren't joining you. Now, sometimes it's timing. And you guys, sometimes I'm just trying to figure out who the heck I am. And sometimes my sales dip because I'm doing a lot of self-discovery and trying to figure that out while I'm like faking it till I make it. And I don't know whether people can see that, but guess what? At least I'm showing up through the hard. At least I'm showing them. I might not be doing it perfect. I might not be doing it right. You might see through my fake it till you make it, but at least they know that through the hard, I'm here, that I'm showing up. So, let's see. He also said, this part was funny. I'm going to botch it, but he said, because he was talking about like fear, right? And like fear of rejection. And he said that you may see fear as like an acronym, right? Fear, like false, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. And so he was talking about how we try to talk people out of it. Like, it's false evidence appearing real. Fear is a liar. Like, it's not real. It's all in your head. Just do it anyways. Like, try to talk yourself out of it. And he's talking about that. And I thought, yeah, that's so interesting, because I was literally just talking to Emily Gibson while we were swimming in the water. And I don't know if you guys saw her post, about her going and getting a life jacket so she could sit in it like a chair, right? So I was sitting there with her I wasn't using a life jacket. I was standing there while she was sitting there. And I was talking about fear, and she was saying like, the top emotions that people like move the needle from, like the emotion that makes you take action. And I told her, one of my biggest emotions that have gotten me to where I'm at is fear. So fear is not necessarily a bad thing. Fear pushes you to take action. But then he said, but then there's this other acronym he's like, I see everybody do for fear, where, the second things get hard, he says, the acronym, am I saying that right? It's an acronym, right? He says, F everything and run. And I was like, it's so true. Like, we are confronted with fear, and then we suddenly are just like, I'm out of here. It's not working. I did my best. I thought that was so interesting. So, be honest with yourself for a second. Is there something today you are really scared to do that you're really good at today? and I kind of asked this earlier, but what's something that you used to be really scared of that you're now really good at? And I asked it different before. I said something that you weren't good at that you're good at, but this is something that you're afraid of, something that you were scared of that you're now good at. I used to be afraid of riding my bike. I used to be afraid of making a business post. I used to be afraid of making any post. I used to be afraid of going into my stories. I used to be afraid of talking to people about the business, all those things that now I'm a lot better at today because I kept going. Am I the best? No, I'm not the best, but I'm better than I was. So think about things that because you have stayed the course, you are better at it. You have improved at it. Study the clues. He said, fear is the fertilizer of growth. And I loved that. He said, people get to a point in their life where they don't want to experience fear anymore. They don't want to be scared anymore. You guys know people like that, where they're like, yeah, I don't want to learn. I don't want to do anything out of my comfort zone. I just go do this every day. They don't want to be afraid anymore. They don't want to do anything hard. To get to a point, they get to a point where they think they should have it all figured out. And that one really resonated with me because I remember when I hit Emerald, I thought for sure I would have it all figured out at Emerald. Like I was like, once I get to Emerald, I will have this thing nailed down and then I will just like skyrocket to Diamond and I will be good. No, I got to Emerald and all of my head trash came out. And I had to dig deep and confront my fears in a whole new way, new levels, new devils. Like it's always going to be there. But if you are willing to stick with it and figure it out, then you will continue to get better. Nobody has it figured out, you guys, no one. And I've started to see that more when I've talked to diamonds that I used to put on a pedestal. And I thought that for sure they had this thing called life figured out, and the business and everything else, and their marriage and their friendships and all of the things and their finances. And I have talked to so many at trips where I'm like, nobody has it figured out. They're all just getting better, right? They're all just willing to get better and to confront that fear. So the best, let's see, it is the best people that are brave enough to keep stepping forward is what he said. And I truly believe that because there's often times where I look back and I'm like, was I the best leader? No. Was I the best at something to get to where? No, I just was willing to get better. I was willing to confront my fears, and I still am to this day. I'm still learning and growing, and I'm willing to get it wrong and to get it right. And I just want to encourage you guys to do that in your business as well. Like if something isn't working, it's okay to reassess. It's okay to say, this isn't working. It's okay to say, I'm struggling and I got to do things a little different, or I got to slow down, or whatever it is. But really, like, as you change the narrative in your head from stereotypical to professional, and you start stepping into the leader that you would want to follow, and you start working on just getting better every single day, and you allow yourself to botch it and say something and then be like, that was so stupid, and she's probably judging me hardcore right now and thinking I never want to be her friend again. And then like a year later, she joins me and wants to do the business. It's so interesting. I've had that happen. But guess what? Just if you're willing to step into that uncomfortable feeling and to remember that, you know, I'm always looking for ways to improve in my life. And I can tell you that the people in my life that have stopped doing things scared and stopped trying to improve, I wouldn't trade my life for theirs. If I wouldn't trade my life for theirs, why would I care about what they think about me? Right? Like, why would I care about their advice or their opinion? Because that's not the kind of life that I want to live. So, I don't know. Does anyone else have feedback? Cause that's kind of like all from me. We can end early, or, I loved what like Carly and Amanda said earlier. Let me check the chat real quick. So, I hope that this was helpful. I noticed that somebody asked in like the group that Kimberly did. I don't know if you guys are all in there. Kimberly P did a group a dive-in challenge group while we were gone. And I noticed that, like, I think it was like Andrea or somebody asked a question about like casting vision. And I do feel like if you can go through the steps of casting vision for what people want, your sales will improve. And so if that is something that you're struggling with, I encourage you to go back, watch that, take notes on those 4 steps that I gave you. And I want to make like a little post about that in my group so you guys can find it really easily, because I really do feel like, you know, we get stuck in being a stereotypical salesperson when we're not making it about the other person and we're not selling their dreams back to them. Like, that is key to helping people get what they want, because they already know what they want, right? And for years, I was telling Kimberly this, I was like, yeah, for years, I would try to like cast vision by telling them what I wanted out of my life, you know? And I was like, why is it not working? Well, people don't have the same vision and goals that you have. Can they still use the same vehicle called Plexus to get to where they want? 100%. That you have got to sell back their dreams to them and help them know that you can help them achieve it. That is really what a good professional salesperson does, is they will sell their dreams back to them and they will help other people get what they want. And that is when all those words that you guys listed earlier come to mind. All of the what did you say? Social, hardworking, knowledgeable, loving, service, like all the things. That is when that comes to mind, when people just want to get what they want. Like that, we are here to help people get what they want. So, anyways, that's all from me. And I missed you guys all in Mexico. And I just thought, how fun would it be if we had more of you guys there next year? So work hard towards Punta Cana, first of all, because that one's like way easier to earn. And I know you guys can all earn it. And talk about it on your social media. Like, I have been talking to a lot of people about how if they just get 20 orders this month, they'll make $1,700 and they'll earn a trip to Punta Cana. Now that is with $150 order or above. So it wouldn't, if they're only being sold the triplex, you guys get a lower point system. If you don't understand the point system, go into my group and look under the graphics that are saved there, because you do get higher points towards earning Punta Cana if they buy $150 worth in their order above. So if you had a new person that has never ranked, they're getting rank up points for silver, senior silver, and gold. They're double points this month. So they're getting double points on rank ups. They're getting double points on orders. So if they're getting 25 points on a $150 order, that's double 50 points, right? So they only need 20 people and they would earn a trip to Punta Cana. Talk about this, share about it, talk about the business more. Like, I'm starting to talk about it more with people. And like I said, they might say, hell no today. And then 6 months from now, they might say, you know what? I've watched your consistency and I'm tired of seeing you on trips that I don't get to go to. And then they might want to join you. So anyways, that's all from me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day and keep working and showing up consistently. And always strive to get better. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out at any time. Love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.